Welcome to episode 2 of Life of a Musician with me, Preston D. Barnes, a UK country music artist. Well, today we're going to be chatting about this.
When the weight of the world gets way too heavy, when the cold wind is blowing at your back.
And we'll be chatting about exactly how that came about and the story behind the song, and also who we recorded it with, how we recorded it, and some of the ideas within that song that maybe you guys don't know about. So let's dive straight in. We're going to talk about a song that I released in 2022, which was my first year as a UK country music artist. And that song's called I'll Carry You. Now, some of you that follow my journey will already know that I served in the British Army for 22 years. And throughout that process, we were deployed to Iraq in 2003 on Operation Telic 1. Now, some experiences that we had over there we won't be talking about today. Some other experiences are really things that you guys wouldn't even believe. But equally, all the experiences put together led me some 19 years later to write a song about the softer side of war.
I will rush in if you're stumbling. I'll never let you fall like that.
Now let's go right back to 2001. Something I think everybody will never ever forget. And I really don't think it matters how many times you watch this. It's still unbelievable today. But 9/11 happened on that day. And I think every single serving forces personnel across the world sat watching the news, along with you guys. The difference was, certainly for me, is that we just knew that something was going to happen. We didn't know where and we didn't know when. But we soon started to prepare to be shipped overseas to whatever destination that was going to be. It just so happens that in 2003, we landed in North Kuwait to prepare to breach the border into southern Iraq. And in all honesty, I don't think any of us expected kind of thoughts of what you're going to see, what you're going to experience throughout that 92-day process. And as I mentioned earlier, some things we won't be talking about, but I can assure you it really was something that we will never ever forget. Now, some 92 days later, we arrived back in the UK and arrived back to our families. And as much as we'd lived in the UK all our lives, those 92 days over in Iraq was an eye-opener that I've never had before. And it became very apparent to me that we take so many things for granted in this country. Like having running water in your house, going to the shopping centre for food, clothes, going to get your hair cut, driving to work. All those things that we take for granted simply was non-existent over there, certainly during the time that we were there. So it's at that moment that you start to reflect on what it is that you've seen, where you've been and what you've done. It took me 19 years to kind of get my thoughts together and think about writing something down and putting something into a song. And I think it's the only way that I could have expressed one specific incident that happened out there that really stuck with me. And for 19 years plus now, there's never a day that goes by that I don't think about this one incident. So let's chat about that incident and how I'll Carry You was born. So for those of you who have been over to anywhere in the Middle East, I suppose, certainly kind of the desert areas, you will know that during the day it can get up to temperatures up to 56 degrees, and then at night time it's almost like somebody turns the lights off and puts the freezer on because it's really, really, really cold. Now there are some conditions over there that we are simply not used to here, and that is a thing called a sandstorm. And essentially it's a really windy condition that blows sand hard and fast into your face. So we had to wear ski goggles quite a lot because really quite treacherous conditions. However, none of that was happening on this one specific morning. I do remember it being very, very cold, and we were travelling north to a different location. I was sat in the back of a 4-ton truck with the back of the truck exposed. I was looking out of the back of the truck as we were passing a little village, and the village almost was bombed out. There was nothing left, and because of the mist on the ground you couldn't really see a lot, but we were travelling around about 10-15 miles an hour, something like that, and all of a sudden, almost out of the mist really, there was a little girl sat on the side of the road. Estimation of age maybe 4, 5, something like that. And as we passed her, she didn't have any parents there, not that I could see. She had no clothes on, and she looked directly into my eyes and had a cardboard sign in her hand that she raised up as she looked at me, and it said, "Take me home," in English. And that moment I wanted to jump out of the truck, pick her up, put her in the back and take her back to the UK, but we just could not do that. And touched the heartstrings that day, because there's never a day gone by since then that I've never thought about this girl. Is she still alive? Has she got a family? Is she married? I don't know, and the reality is I will never know. So that is where I'll Carry You came from, hence the title, because I wanted to carry her all the way back to the UK, but I just couldn't do that. So the words and lyrics and music in this song all depict that day, that cold, misty day, travelling through that village and seeing that little girl.
I'll carry you.
So let's chat about the actual music in the song. Essentially, right at the start of the process, this song was acoustic guitar and voice based, and that's how we started. We came up with the chords, something nice and simple. It starts in G, goes down to E minor, then to C, and then to D, and ultimately that repeats throughout the whole song. So we couldn't just keep it like that. So we wanted to make it a little bit more atmospheric. And by that I mean I wanted it to relate to a wartime situation. So how do you do that? It's very difficult to portray a wartime situation to the general public that's never experienced that. So I spoke to the producer I was working with at the time, Mark Wickenden, and he said, well, first thing we need to do, we need to put some kind of warm strings in the background. So we laid those down, and we kind of wanted to sit them really far back in the mix, really. So we did that, and that sounded okay. But there was something else missing. We just needed something else. So we had the backing vocals recorded. We had the guitars recorded by Ben Newton. We had everything recorded. But when you get to a point when you're recording a song and you just think, it's good, but it's just not quite there yet. So what else can we add to depict that situation? Really to get across to the listener that we are talking about a wartime situation here. So I said to my producer, can we add some kind of explosion sound in the background? Not too loud, but just something that might emulate an explosion. Because after all, we are talking about war. So we experimented with some deeper drum sounds. And your budding drummers out there will know what a floor tom is. And we initially started with that idea, but the problem with that is you get kind of more of an instant sound, like a heavy attack on it right at the start, and we didn't want that. So we wanted it to be a little bit more like a distant explosion. So we came up with the sound that you hear now halfway through the song, and you can kind of hear like a pulsing feeling throughout the song. And it only happens halfway through, and that carries on right to the end. And it's kind of a soft sound, really deep. And anybody that's heard this song before, you will have heard this sound, but you probably didn't know what it meant. So it took a while to get that sound right. We hit it on the nail, I think, for this song. And it kind of does sound quite distant, which is great.
I will carry you. Yes, I will get you through.
So, along with the explosions, with the guitar, the strings, the story about the girl, and the lyrics, really, I think we've kind of come up with a song that really does tell a story. And let's face it, every song that's ever recorded should tell a story. Well, this is a real story. It's a story of my own experiences. And it's a story that I will never, ever forget. So that was episode 2 of Life of a Musician with me, Preston D. Barnes. And today, it's been great to chat about that one song that means so much to me. How it came about, the story behind the song, what the specific sounds mean within the song, and give you kind of a whole outlook on how we created it. So just before we close, I'd just like to give a big shout out to 3 different people that's really helped massively with this song. Mr. David Corbell, for helping out with some of the lyrics there. You did an amazing job with this song, and after speaking to you for some time and giving you the story, you just really, really helped out in mapping out those lyrics so that it fit perfectly within the music. Also, moving on to Mark Wickenden at Sonic Boom Records, he did an amazing job with this song too. He's an effortless producer. He always puts 100% into his work, and as you can hear, I think he really did develop this song into something that was exactly right for a wartime situation. So thank you very much, Mark. And once again to Ben Newton for creating the guitars and the atmospheric feel throughout the song in the studio. So Amazing team on this song, and I couldn't ask for anything better. For those of you who haven't heard it, the song is out on all your regular streaming platforms. Leave me some comments below. Tell me if you enjoyed this podcast, and let me know your thoughts about the song. That'd be fantastic. For now, thank you very much for listening. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to bringing you episode 3.